Hey, Dr. Salem, how are you doing?
Dr. Amels, we're back another week. We spent a lot of time together. We even spent the plane ride back together, and we have a lot of things to talk about this week.
Yeah, that was actually really funny because we ran into a lot of people on the flight back, like everyone from Arizona who was associated with reproductive medicine or something was there. So we do apologize for the time when we scheduled this. We scheduled it before daylight savings was changed, and for some reason it gives the wrong time. So just so everyone knows, we do apologize about that small adjustment in time. But yeah, I mean, this episode's gonna be kind of cool, telling everyone what we saw and also showing some of the pictures. I got to ask you though, did you get any of the swag? I'm not a swag person, so I did not grab much swag. But what about you? Did you get any of the fun swag?
I gotta say, maybe one of the best things that was there, although I didn't actually get my hands on it, I saw a friend had it, was the ASRM official cuterus, which is a stuffed
Tutorous, yes.
animal that is now called the cuterus, is like the best branding ever. I love that thing.
Yeah. I actually have one of those before it got that name, but I have my own stuffed animal, sperm and egg and uterus and all that. So it's very important to have. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I mean, no self-respecting reproductive endocrinologist doesn't have one.
Of course. I mean, why even practice fertility medicine if you don't have a uterus? Well, I definitely want to go slow before we start things because, again, the timing is so off compared to what was shown. So I don't want to rush into things a little too fast here. I find one thing I find really amazing, and I don't know if people are listening to this, it is so true, but for some reason, doctors love free crap. It's really unbelievable how, like, I almost liken it to, have you ever, like, when you go to Costco and you see a line of people who, like, for like a little piece of like chicken nugget here, like, and
Yeah.
they'll all be lined up and you're like,
Oh, yeah.
for that? You're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
all spend 20 minutes for this? And this year they even had it where there was like games and stuff they're playing. And I'm not better than them. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, I'm too good for sweat, but it is amazing how much doctors love free stuff. And yet they can buy all of that probably pretty easy, but doctors love free crap, man.
Fortunately or unfortunately, that's true. Now, I will tell you, I'm that guy in the Costco line getting the quarter piece of a chicken nugget. Like I just have
You
to try
stand for
it.
the free sample.
I want a free sample. I want to try what's new. And just like I want to stand at Costco and try the new product there, I was standing in line at these booths. I was curious what they were gonna tell us about whatever their product was, and I think that's part of what we get to talk about with our our patients. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, I
Yeah.
do leave a lot of the free pens behind these days.
Yeah, I don't get the free pens, and like, if it's something my kids want, I grab it. I'm like, oh, my kids want this. My kids would like some candy and things like that. So that's usually where I grab the stuff. But well, I think people are starting to realize we're on now. Again, there was a little mix up on the timing part. We apologize about that. But what did you find? I mean, first of all, San Antonio, pretty cool town.
Yeah, very cool
Uh,
time. Really like
yeah,
San Antonio.
it was a very cool town. I've never been there before. It's small, but it's a really cool town. It has a really cool nightlife with the Riverwalk. I thought that was amazing. Um, and so, anyways, I'd love to know what you thought of ASRM just overall, and then we'll kind of get into like the stuff we saw.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, San Antonio, that's where we had it. ASRM, just reminder to everybody, that's the big national conference for reproductive medicine. It's the main conference where all the science gets presented, everybody comes with all the vendors kind of show you what's newest and greatest in what it is that they would like to implement in the lab, in the clinic. But so what else was wonderful? Well, San Antonio, fantastic town. Love it there. People are so nice. Um, Riverwalk was beautiful, and of course it was a great conference. I mean, I think the big picture for me was just how much technology, and I'm talking about more like software, is entering our field. It's really cool. I mean, we're starting to see some things that are actually, uh, pushing the needle in the direction of improving care as a result of software. And I'm sure we'll talk a lot about them. Dr. Amos is like, the CTO as well as the CEO. So he's going to give us some really cool insights too. But I don't know, if there's like one main big theme, what was it for you?
If I had to say that one of the surprising big themes I saw was this idea of making the patient experience better. I think one of the things over the years I've been going to ASRM, there are kind of two parts, right? There's obviously the scientific part, which, read journals and stuff, we learn that stuff, and it's great. And sometimes there's some groundbreaking things, right? One of the big groundbreaking things right now coming out are the PGT, and then it's going to be the fast thawing, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But the other thing is that, as you said, there's always like new equipment coming out. There's things that are advancing stuff, and they're still there. A lot of safety feature stuff. But the big one I keep seeing a lot of is this patient experience. And, it's pretty impressive. I mean, some of the companies that are coming out, they're all trying to create this great experience for patients, which is fantastic. I think it's a great idea. And so I saw a lot of that, let's say at that expo. Surprisingly, a lot of time lapse. I think every single company now has some time lapse, which I found a little surprising because it's not a standard, right now. But it's because we're getting near that hump. Eventually we get to that point where AI can determine the best embryo to put back. I think at that point, that's when things will, convert over. But to me, that was one of the big technological things. But yeah, patient experience. I mean, how many times did you and I where we would talk to, let's say, like someone, and in that situation, I would say some software or something that maybe advances things, and then they go, oh, but here's the patient side of it. Look at this. We send this beautiful thing that explains this to them. I mean, I don't know if you saw it, but there's a lot more focus on how did the patients feel. When you look at the EMRs now, it's how's the patient stuff, efficiencies and things like that. One of them, I mean, the patient can even go into their own portal and see their embryos dividing, which I thought was kind of pretty cool. So what about you? I mean, was there anything that you felt like defined the show?
I mean, it's always hard to say like, hey, was there one defining thing? I mean, there were a lot of talks about, the theme of ASRM this year was global collaboration to advance, IVF and reproductive medicine. And that's wonderful. I think that was fantastic. There was the undersecretary of the UN that was there, of the World Health Organization that was there to give a talk about kind of globally how infertility, impacts people. And I thought those things were very interesting. But a little closer to home, there was definitely, in my opinion, just an enormous amount around the opportunity for technology to kind of overlay some of the instruments that we use, whether that's ultrasound or whether that's our medical record system, so that, it's kind of, there's an AI integration for answering questions for the patients as quickly as possible, or AI in the lab, some of the AI having to do with selecting out the best sperm or the best egg. And then the very future looking stuff was really sort of, awe-inspiring. It was the automation in the lab. I mean, there's a company, Conceivable Life Sciences, that's making the entire IVF lab automated, from the point that you kind of load up an egg and a sperm in there, and it just kind of does all this stuff in an automated way to create an embryo on the other end. I mean, that's not here today. That's not, although there are pregnancies actually from this technology, but it's not, let's call it, in the mainstream yet. But it was very interesting seeing how they were, talking about these things. But so for me, the one thing that linked us all together was, technology innovation in reproductive medicine, especially as it revolves around, the integrations of AI and software to improve patient outcomes. I totally agree with you with the patient experience part. I just didn't want to say the same thing.
Actually, while we're talking about this, let me see. This is one of those ones that you were talking about. Hopefully I don't say anything stupid in this. But this is one of those automation things you're talking about. I mean, here it is, making dishes. And um, it's not like, oh wow, it just made an embryo, but just even something as simple as
Yeah, we've been
making
actually
oh
helping a lot of the patients with their transfers. Yes, one of the clinics had a lot of the
so
embryos, but they couldn't do the transfer, so they've been shipping them to us, and we've been doing the transfer for people at very low
so
cost, so
yeah, I don't know what I
people
was
can keep
saying on
doing
it, but
that.
if you see here, there we go. Can you hear me still?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay, so you can see what's happening here is, it's making these dishes, and at first it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, right? You're like, so what? So put some drops down, and then then what's going to happen is they're going to have them put oil overlay over it. So this is so the media around the embryo doesn't dehydrate. So what you do is you put fluid in, and then it takes oil and overlays that. So then that way it prevents dehydration. But what's really important about this, that doesn't seem important in this one, is not just is time saved, but it actually matters about your drops. Now in this situation, it's not as severe where you go, oh wow, if the drop is off, it means that you're gonna have a bad embryo. But when it comes to like freezing, it makes a big difference. You make your drop too big, and now it takes longer for that water molecule to freeze, and so the temperature fluctuation can affect the embryo versus if it's too small. So the point is that if we can start automating things, we can start making rates almost continuously the same, and that's where you see differentiations between even different people doing stuff. And so I thought that was really cool. I mean, to actually be able to see something automated like that. And, I went back to the team and I asked them, like, what do you think of this? And they said, yeah, I mean, it's good. They said it will help a little bit, but probably not, save that much time. But I just thought that was, kind of a neat thing. What other things did you see that, that kind of made you go, oh, wow, that looks cool coming down the pipeline?
One of them was a company that we've been kind of following along carefully, Cycle Clarity, and they're doing, we're talking about the importance of standardization, right? Because
yeah.
in the lab, sometimes you can have a person that does an incredible job with things, and then you can have unexperienced people who do less of a good job. And so you're trying to standardize and get that very high quality everywhere. The same, honestly, is true with ultrasound. And, in some clinics, they have like a whole lot of different sonographers doing the ultrasound, measuring the follicles, and everybody can measure the follicle a little bit differently. And what's amazing with this technology here at Cycle Clarity is that they can kind of overlay with the ultrasounds that are available in the clinics, and using kind of an AI platform, they can measure the size of the follicles in each ovary, and also, by the way, very, very quickly. This is like a patient comfort, patient satisfier thing, where the ultrasound suddenly goes from whatever it might be to just a couple minutes, 2-3 minutes max, and gives you all the measurements of all the follicles. But what's really, really cool about it is that there's no fighting over, oh, did you measure the follicle from here to here or from here to here? And maybe there's a millimeter difference between one doctor and another, or one sonographer and another. And I think over time, as we collect data, and we get more and more specific, granular, precise about some of these things, I do think some of these things can really help. It can help in two ways. The first is patient comfort, because now the patient's ultrasound is now shortened down. They're not in that, uncomfortable situation for as long. And the second one really is around, us, like Dr. Amels and I can share our ultrasounds and be very, very confident that the follicles are being measured exactly the same way. But what else did you come away with from this company or from this innovation?
Yeah, I think that the part that I was impressed with is how fast it's changing, right? So when this first came out, I didn't even think it was useful. I was very honest with the company. I said, I can do an ultrasound pretty dang fast. I mean, sure, you might be able to do the sweep real fast and in 2 minutes get it, but there's still the processing, there's still all the other parts. And I agree with them. I do believe that having that continuity between every, person, you can have Dr. A doing the ultrasound versus Dr. B, and you're going to get the same measurements every time. And what's unique about them too, we didn't mention, is they've always been able to do a 3D of the ovary, but volume is something that we don't, as doctors, think about. We're so used to using 2 by 2, like a diameter average, that it just doesn't comprehend for us. Honestly, in all fairness, almost everything should be done by volume. If we really want to do it, and this might eventually happen someday, where we realize, okay, we're being dumb, we're measuring this, the average. But realistically, if we wanted to be accurate, volume would be the better measure of a follicle maturity. But what they did, this company, is they take the volume of that follicle, and then they actually go and figure out the diameter, the average diameter. So it allows the doctor to work within what they are used to through their career. And it's pretty impressive. And what's neat that they added was, before they could only do it from about like 12, 14 millimeters above. And now they can even see all the way down to like 7 millimeters, which, potentially here that can get the whole cycle. If you still got those little 3 and 4 millimeters that might miss it, but really those aren't the ones growing. And so it really is impressive that in 2 years it's gone from this very basic system to now this, much more advanced system that I do think eventually we will be using. I don't know if it's going to be in this specific one. There was another ultrasound that I looked at, and I think I might have it. Let me see. Is it this one? That might be the same one. I don't have the specific ultrasound, but there's a company, and to be fair, I won't say the company, but there was a company that had ultrasound that allowed even just touching the inside of the follicle, it measured the follicle, and it was extremely accurate. And these things always seem accurate at the show. So that's the thing, as a doc, you're always like, okay, well, yeah, this looks great at the show. You get the perfect looking picture and stuff. But in reality, I actually then had them tested at my clinic, and it was amazing. And I've used G, Samsung, all these different machines, and it is one of those two. But it was really amazing how it could actually find where the follicle was, and that again can help with continuity. And so I just thought that was a really cool thing. This is, to me, I thought this was the one that stole the show. I'm a big Lego fan, and so I was like,
I know it's coming.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, this is what I do it for right here, is for this, this sperm Lego set. What's interesting is they had little boxes of Legos for everyone to play. Did you play with those at all?
I didn't. I missed out on that. I feel like I missed out on an experience there. But wait, you got to show it to us. You haven't shown it to us yet.
Show what?
The Lego.
Oh, you can't see it?
I can't see it yet. We're all waiting for it here.
Wait. Oh, wait. Okay, let me see.
There
here.
it is.
Okay, there. I didn't realize you guys couldn't see it. I'm like talking about it, and you guys couldn't see it yet. Okay, so I sent my kid a picture of this, and I'm like, hey, look at this. Like, there's this Lego thing, and right away he was so excited. He wanted to come to the thing just to play with. He goes, "Did you play with the Legos?" I'm like, well, "No, I didn't play with Legos. I'm an adult, But but it was really cool. This Lego thing. Lots of sperm, right? I mean, if there's anything that you see a lot of, is sperm at these expos.
On this exact point, I'd love to mention one of the other things that I saw a lot of, and that I think is, it was something I got to say I was skeptical of probably 3-4 years ago, and I've become a lot more of an adopter and a believer, which is, the at-home sperm testing, or the sperm testing through companies that have devised systems that you send it to them through the mail, and it's validated to last, 2 days or even 3 days. And they will then process that specimen and turn around a result very, very quickly. The costs are really coming down on it, and I've been very impressed by it. And again, I think sperm testing at home is just such a powerful tool, because 30 to 50% of infertility is male factor. And for those people that we can catch way upstream, like, why wait a whole year until you're infertile if you could have done a really easy test and figured out that there was a major male factor and done something about it earlier. So that's been something that's been top of mind for me. A lot of companies doing some really cool things. Legacy is a really great company out there.
Yep.
Fellow is a great company. There's a kind of a newer one on the block called Sapien. So anyway, these are really interesting companies, and their products are better and better validated. I mean, I think they're pretty neat. What do you think, Dr. Amos? I mean, how do you think this works, and who does it work best for to do something like this?
You're saying for the sperm at home?
For the sperm at home testing, yeah.
You know, it's a really great question. You know, what's really interesting about that is, I think it goes further than just a sperm test, right? We saw some for DNA fragmentation that was there. I thought that was really cool. You know, one of the things you and I were talking about is this idea. You know, you and I have always wanted to make things affordable, and especially like example is donor eggs. And so what's great about this is that because they can now freeze the sperm from your house, we potentially could have patients who could be using donor eggs and never actually come to the clinic until the transfer, which, you know, is kind of amazing in some ways, right? So now we can make something very affordable, and now a one flight they can get it. So I thought that was really cool. The other thing that when you talk about these situations where you can do things from home, or if they can make things last a long time, is allowing some comfort to the lab. You know, if you have 10 guys come in and give a sperm sample, it's really hard. You have to space them all out. But if you can use a special cup that makes the sperm last for, you know, 2 days, if things get busy, you can slow down. You could say, hey, well, we'll deal with that a little bit later because, you know, right now we have this other important thing to do with. And I thought that was really cool. And I saw a lot of that at the conference, which is, you know, trying to help with efficiencies, trying to help with automations and stuff like that. You and I saw that one automated was for semen analyses. It wasn't like a full semen analysis, but, you know, and I thought that was really cool. What about yourself? I mean, do you see any other areas where you think the you know, the at-home sperm or process comes in to play?
Yeah, and it, you know, and I know you and I have talked about this, and I think one of the big things is going to be, you know, further upstream. So couples that have been, you know, trying to get pregnant maybe for a few months and haven't had success, or maybe they're even just thinking about getting pregnant, but they want to optimize things, you know, under the guidance of a clinic, doing one of these at-home sperm tests might be really, really helpful. Again, just for the matter of logistics, of ease of use. And then you have kind of a definitive thing that says, hey, pretty sure sperm is normal here or not normal. And, you know, Dr. Amos and I will have some future things about that, some upcoming things. So that's just a teaser for right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I was saying, I mean, there's a ton of, sorry, let me get you back here. There were a ton of things that, you know, you think this stuff is just only at the show that they have, like the sperm stuff. And I want to show you. So I don't know if you went to this person's house, but I went to one of the other doctor's house. He's a fantastic doctor who lives out in San Antonio that runs the Positive IVF fertility. And I love the fact that they have this giant sperm on the vehicle. I can't imagine like running into that as you are driving down the road.
I don't think we can see it. I think we're back to the ultrasound.
I
know.
I'm so sorry. There's something going on with that. Let me remove it off for a second.
It's coming.
Yeah, that I don't know why it's doing that. Let me hit. Give me 1 second here. Okay, can you see the car now?
I think we're back to the ultrasound.
Yeah, there's some technical difficulty going on here. I'll get that figured out while we're talking. But, you know, one of the things, you know, it's really cool to show is meeting a lot of people. I mean, you know, you and I get to see, you know, multiple friends there. You know, some of our colleagues that everyone knows, you know, people like the Egg Whisperer and stuff like that. And you know, who was it kind of neat for you to meet when you were there? Like some of your friends and stuff and colleagues.
Oh my gosh! So there's a couple I didn't get to meet her. Tara Lipinski was there, but I got to see her. She was talking, and definitely a lot of my friends, my colleagues that are doing really exciting, interesting things around the country, at their own either academic IVF centers or their own fertility centers. Just really, really great exchanging some ideas with them. My friends over at Terra Fertility, which are doing a great job out in Boston, they just launched that practice out there, and a huge shout out to them. They're doing really innovative, cool things out there. Oh, there it is.
Okay, you can see it now?
There it is, yes.
It's so weird. I see it on my screen, and sometimes you guys don't see it. So yeah, so this is the vehicle again. Great clinic out there in San Antonio. If you're there, check them out. They're fantastic. But look at that giant sperm on top of there. I would be scared to death if that thing was driving behind me.
I feel like the only way to make that right is if you and I had company cars and one was a sperm and the other was an egg, and we just, caravan.
That is a great idea. That is actually a fantastic idea. Now, I know we've had this question before on the show, is who's the sperm, who's the egg? So that one we have to figure that one out. But yeah, and so I was at his house. He had like a little get together. All the people were there, and it was just a lot of fun. And when I stepped out and I saw this vehicle, I thought, wow, that's going beyond just saying like here's the big sperm on. So I thought that was fantastic to see. One of the other things I saw a lot of was, I was telling you, was the time lapse. Everyone had a time lapse. I felt like, let me see here. Let me remove this one, and let's see if I can get this one to come up. But a lot of time lapse. No, there was car. Looks like do you see the time lapse now?
Yes, we see it there. But this is the Aztec's time lapse. Yep.
Yeah. So this is Aztec. They have a time lapse. And then there was another one here where I can't tell if it saw it change for you. Another time lapse machine, and so it was something I just kept seeing around and around. And if you look here, what we're seeing is this idea of everything going into small benchtop incubators. Here again, every one of these little things are little incubators. I gotta admit, it's kind of cute, man. Seeing all those little incubators on there like that, it's you're like, oh, that's really cute. But this is something that wasn't this way in the past. In the past, the way most places did it, they had a giant incubator, and there's probably still a lot of clinics that do this, but a giant incubator where they go in and they put the embryos in there. And then every time they go to get your embryos, they open it up and they get your embryos out, but then everyone's embryos gets exposed to, the oxygen from outside, and it affects the quality of them. But what we're seeing is a lot of people are going to benchtop incubators now. And this is a good thing for everyone, because now you have faster recovery time. And now the downsides, does cost more. That's why not everyone was doing it before. It costs a lot more to buy all these incubators. But as you can see, that's some of the new stuff coming out. Everything's getting smaller, benchtop, and I don't know what other things did you see? I know we don't have pictures of everything, but was there any other like technology you saw that you think might be cool to show? I do have one more actually before we jump to that. I thought this was really cool. So this just looks like oh, it's just a hood, with a little video screen inside it, but it's more than that. What's really cool about this is a hood with a micro manipulator in it. Now, at first you go like, okay, what's the big deal? It's a scope with a scope. But this is actually really impressive, because if you notice this scope here, like you're just looking underneath it. But this one, there's this little white portion underneath the one on the left. So the one on the left is the micro manipulator. That's the one that's going to do your ICSI. That's the one that's going to do your endometrial biopsies. And if you notice, one of the things that you can't usually do with a micro manipulator is you can't have it be moving around, right? Because when you're on the microscopic level, just a tiny little bump and the thing's shaking like this. And so there's this little white thing underneath it. And what it is they are just floating just that device. So if the person next to you, let's say, is moving around, it doesn't cause your needle to move. And that's unusual, because usually these have their own spot that they go on, that you float it with gases so it can't rock too much. And it's pretty impressive. Like they came with just that specific scope, is being floated under gas. You can see there's like a little metal thing underneath the table portion, and that's how they float. And so what this does is allows you to, potentially take up less space, and you can have, just hoods around. So I thought that was really cool and innovative thing that I saw there as well.
Yeah, that is really cool. I mean, again, and so much of this has to do with like, how can we do better in the lab? How can we get more consistent results in the lab? I always think it's very neat how, obviously that's some of the hardware, if you will. And then some of the things that are also, there's been significant innovations in have to do with the media and the ability to do like ultra fast vitrification. That was really neat as well, just allowing us to think about how do we come away vitrifying eggs, embryos in a way that makes things more efficient. And effectively, when I say more efficient, I mean less costly. And maybe that allows us to push those savings on to patients, making it yet more accessible. So a lot of these innovations are not sometimes innovations that are going to completely radically change the science of what's happening, but may change the accessibility of it. And I thought that was very interesting.
What did you think of, one of the big things I was talking about in the beginning is this idea that, we were going to do fast thawing. So just so everyone understands that when you freeze these embryos and you vitrify them, to thaw them, it's not just like you throw in the microwave, even though I made a joke about that in a TikTok video. There's steps. You have to go into one fluid and then be there for so many seconds. And then you go to the next fluid, they have to be there for so many seconds. And the next one. And so someone came with this idea of fast thawing, where basically you just take it and dip it right into the media, and it takes a process that usually takes 20, 30 minutes, and now you're done in 5 minutes. And there's a big push to go towards this. And so I went to, there was 2 companies there that have now made media just for this protocol. I think it's pretty promising. The only thing was, when I looked at one of them, the number of patients was only 200. I didn't feel very comfortable changing everything that works, for just 200 patients yet as data points. But, it goes back to efficiency again, right? Everyone's focusing on efficiency. I don't know if you had the chance to look at that. Were there any other things that you saw that you thought were pretty cool? I got a couple more I'm going to show pictures of that I thought were pretty cool as well.
Yeah, you make a great point there. I just kind of want to underline it too. Like, it's this idea that, there's a lot of stuff that's cool and interesting, and there are preliminary studies on, but like what our job is as medical directors of the, of our clinics, is to make sure that we're being very responsible stewards of these new technologies. And so a lot of times we look at something and we say, not enough data. It's promising. It looks good, but we want more data, just to make sure that as it's playing out, that these things are, effective, safe, efficient, all of the above. And so many of the things that we see, actually the vast majority are things that never get implemented, because we kind of take a look at the data and it never goes live. But it's kind of like, the difference between a concept car and the real sort of manufactured car, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Concept car, like this is like a concept bike, This is one they're trying to get everyone to purchase. So you can kind of see in the background here, it's a little bit of the the Expo. I think they have like FemView in the background to the left, and on the right you have some other reps out there. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head here. I mean, like this bike. This bike looks amazing, right? It's hilarious, but is it really good to use? No, I mean that bike would be horrible to use as a regular bike. If you were going to try to go, let's say, mountain biking or going distance. And so that is our job as a fertility doctor. These things are all great, and they come with a bunch of data, and they're like, look, it's the best and the newest. But then that's where doctors need to come in and go, well, but wait a second. Is it really good? I mean, I get people all the time coming to us saying, oh, you got to use our new PGT platform. I'm like, oh, okay. And I listen to it. And you start getting down to the data, and you go, but how do you support that? And I think that's always important for patients. Like, it's great to get the newest stuff, but the newest stuff needs to be somehow tested and make sure it doesn't affect people's chances as well, or it's just not wasting money because it's new. this was a really cool thing I saw. One thing is storage. So storage is a really big thing going on, and people run out of space. Most of the time we use these things called dewars, which are kind of on the ground. They hold a decent amount of patients, but eventually you run out of room, you have to get another one, and eventually you go like, well, what do I do when I have lots and lots of patients? And so they're coming up with different ideas. And so this was a massive one that we saw. This is what holds frozen tissues like embryos and eggs. And what's really interesting, I mean, if you look at this thing is so big, they have to have stairs with it to get to it. When I showed this to my embryologists, they're like, oh, that's really cool, but oh my God, I don't know if I want to be going up steps with someone's stuff. And that was funny because I didn't think about that. It just shows you how like the thought process is so different. And I'm thinking, this is amazing. And then they made a point to me. They're like, what if I fall off the steps? What if I trip going down? Like I drop all their stuff. I was like, wow, that's a really good point. Did you think of that when you were looking at this, or were you like me going, oh, that's really cool?
So interesting that they said that. That's such a good point. I'll be honest, that wasn't the first thing on my mind. I was more like, well, if you have to go up the stairs, it's kind of annoying or something, but they're absolutely right. Like they're in there, they're in the lab, and they're dealing with this stuff all the time, and they're right. You'd almost have to wonder, like, do you build a platform around it or something? I don't know, but you're right. You're holding a specimen, and now you're going to go down the set of stairs. They're very solid stairs, very well built and everything, but yeah, still.
People are human, right? People can trip. I mean, and you're less likely to trip just walking, but more likely to trip going downstairs, or you just get the wrong step. Because the thing is that you have to think about when you have this liquid nitrogen, it's a little bit dangerous. I mean, it's really, really cold fluid. I mean, it spills all over your body or something. And then you have someone's babies in there, right? And so potentially, I mean, I never thought of it that way. I was like, wow, that is a really good point, and something that I thought was impressive. And this is why it's just so important when you're looking to get things that you talk to your whole team, because as doctors, we're like, yeah, and then you have someone who does it, and you go, oh, not as cool as we thought it was. So, but you can see that everyone's trying to condense everything into smaller areas. So it's becoming more about real estate, because real estate's expensive. If you were a California, New York clinic, you probably pay more for 1,000 square foot than people do in Texas and Arizona for 5,000 square foot. And so space matters. So one of my, there were things I don't know, before I get to that, I mean, what was the most impressive thing that you saw that when you were there, like the thing where you're just like, holy moly, this is crazy?
Oh my gosh, putting me on the spot for the single most impressive thing. Ooh, this is a tough one. I feel like you have something up your sleeve. Maybe come back to me on this one.
Okay, so I have to tell you, like, this was something where I was just like, Texas, when people you ever see those memes on TikTok where they're like, Japan's like in 2035, they're like ahead of the game, and I'm like, so is San Antonio. So, I mean, be prepared if you're near your computer here. Just maybe take a seat. I don't want you to fall down, because this is so impressive. This might be the most impressive thing you actually see tonight. This is a Texas-shaped waffle. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I thought, how is this possible? What machinery can make something like this? And then what was even more amazing was this thing tasted so good. I just thought, I got to move to Texas or something. And so just to show you, that's how more advanced Texas is. They are Japan of 2050 right now, making Texas-shaped waffles. And I mean, literally, when you think of it, when you scale it to size, it is like a perfect, 1 million to 1, size difference here. I mean, it's a perfect dimensions.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's just everything that absolutely should come out of Texas. Claiming the waffle. I love it.
And I mean, at ASRM too, right? I mean, because it's about technology. It's about advancements in fields. And I just thought, look at Texas stepping up their game and saying, hey, move over, ASRM. You might have a lot of things. You might be able to get people pregnant under a microscope, but can you make a waffle shaped like your state? And I just, again, I was probably one of the most impressive things I saw at the conference. Um, Anything that like surprised you, under surprised you? Like, was there anything like, like, I mean, I felt like I really didn't feel like there was a lot of big wow moments. Like you go to like the ASRM 2004, and they come out and they're basically like, stop doing PGS. You remember that? That was a big one where like, they're like, oh, okay, stop doing it. People are having lower pregnancy rates. Like, we don't know what we're doing. Let's stop. And that was a big gotcha moment, right? We had other moments where, PGTA showed things. The mosaics, when that came out, like, okay, guys, we're throwing away abdominal embryos. I didn't feel like there was anything like that at this conference this year. I didn't think there was this like big moment where everyone's like, whoa. And do you think that's because there just wasn't those big moments, or because eventually you start having smaller and smaller discoveries because we've done so many things, or is it just one of those years it's just an off year? I mean, obviously the waffle, I'm not taking away from the waffle. Okay, the waffle still is pretty amazing. I'm just saying, outside of the waffle, were there any other things that you thought, like news-wise, that really jumped out?
Not really. I mean, I was hoping that there would be a little bit more advancements in the space of PGT. A lot of people are talking about sort of like, I want to almost call them like add-ons or kind of things that go along with PGT. And some people are developing some interesting tools around it, but I was really hoping for, a little bit more to have happened, by now. Like, for example, in the world of like recurrent implantation failure, or, endometrial receptivity, like would love to see some innovations there. And it's not that nobody's trying. People are definitely making headway, but it is something where we haven't made enough headway. So I would say that was like the one place where I was like a little underwhelmed. Where every year we kind of go back and we're hoping that there's going to be something very interesting in the world of, how do you really improve implantation rates? But how about you? I mean, something that was really, left you wanting.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, I find a lot of times at that conference, I mean, you really come away going, wow, this is a change in practice that we need to do, right? I felt like that wasn't really as much. I mean, there were definitely some important things that were there and some stuff, but just none of those wow moments this year. Now, I'm really impressed with the whole plan of moving forward with things to be at home. People can, not have to come to the office for things. I mean, you and I, as we walked through that entire conference, we kept saying, oh, wow, look, we could possibly do that. And then they wouldn't have to come to the clinic, or, to make things just more accessible, easier. Because, I mean, realistically, and this is what people should think about. Imagine if someone could send you an ultrasound to your house, and it was simple. You place the ultrasound, it does the ultrasound for you within 2 minutes, it's done. And you put a little thing that pricks on your arm, and it sends the blood to us, and we get the results. And you never have to leave your house. You can keep working, never have to take time off. And then we're like, okay, make this adjustment in your med, and you show up for the retrieval. I mean, you and I, because our goal is to make things accessible and low cost, we'll bring the cost down. I tell people all the time, our costs will go down in the future the more and more that we can make the costs go down. It's just, there's limitations on what we can do. The thing I was happy about, though, is we made a lot of connections. I think we're going to be able, for our clinic, I know this has nothing to do with our clinic, but our clinic, I felt we made some really great connections, and I felt like collaborations, and we found even, lower costs for certain things. So that was really exciting. We're going to bring our costs down. The thing that, I'll let you go. I mean, what about you? I mean, was there anything else that you felt like kind of let you down, and just like, oh, I really thought this would have been better?
No, I mean, I do think that, like the global agenda of the conference, right, was about like advancing reproductive medicine around the globe. And just to your point exactly, like I'm always thinking, hey, this is wonderful. The way we do IVF today is wonderful. And, we can go further and further, like more and more and more premium, and like try to like refine and get the most expensive and everything. But while we're kind of like, you might be buying yourself a 0.5% increase here and a 1% increase there, what we're not doing is broadening the scope of who this technology is available for. And that was one of the things that left me disappointed. Granted, I did see hope, because I saw a lot of things that could get us there. Technologies that are gonna, just like you said, hopefully bring down the cost of IVF, as we do more and more and more cycles around the world. But eventually, those costs do need to go down for people to afford them both in the US and around the world. It's just unsustainable to keep the costs this high in some other countries and expect any reasonable number of people to be able to afford it. So I guess that's the one thing that I really hope in the future we see more of. We see more innovation in that space.
Yeah, when you talked about the PGT earlier, so I did talk to a lot of companies, and we're at this kind of unique point. I felt like PGT was flying up like this at one point, and it still is in some ways. What was really cool is, they have now machines that we can literally bring in our clinic. Looking at that, going, wow, can we even lower the cost more of PGT? A lot more automation going with PGT, but there are some. One of the big things that's happened with PGT is they're trying to make it better. We've talked about before on one show where they've now added SNPs to the NGS, so next gen sequencing, and then they add SNPs, and what it allows them to do now is know exactly how many copy numbers there are of certain things, and so we can find things that we weren't able to find before. But there's still that issue with the mosaicism, that still runs in a little bit, or inconclusive embryos and things like that. One thing I saw that everyone's trying to get to now is looking now at some polygenetics. So there was one company, a PGT company, that looks at the polygenetics of the embryo, and so like that way you could say like, hey, these embryos have more risk for this or more risk for that. And there was even a guy who was across from one of my friends set up there, and this guy actually took your PGT data and he wrote this algorithm to figure out like what's the healthiest baby to transfer. And what's interesting, because I spoke to him, I said to him, this is going to be a hard sell. And he's like, what do you mean? I go, that's a hard sell. Like, it's not, this is a bad embryo, this is a good embryo. It's all these embryos could get in a baby, but this one has a 40% chance and this one has a 20% chance of maybe getting diabetes. And like I said, but unless you had one that's only 1%, like that's a hard difference to notice and stuff like that. But I still thought it goes back to that point we talked about, things that make it better for patients, right? It's not like it didn't feel like a place going, hey, how can you get more money from your patients? How can you do this? It was always about what can we do better for patients? And I thought that was really cool, some of this new stuff out there.
Yes, very, very much so. I agree with that entirely.
Well, no one's coming on tonight, so obviously everyone's exhausted from this week. Halloween must have really knocked people down. We'll probably end up going here in a second. One thing that was really shocking to me, I won't make too much jokes about this one, okay? But something like I was saying that shocked. I've never been to San Antonio, and so you've heard of the Alamo, right? The Alamo is like, I'm like, okay, gosh, see the Alamo, like this thing's the most amazing thing on earth. You hear about the Alamo, they movies about it. I don't know if any of you have been to San Antonio and seen the Alamo, but I was shocked how tiny it was. This is not that big of a thing. I thought this is the thing that won won everything, and it's this little tiny thing. That's it. Like, look at the people there. A house is bigger than that. Most houses are bigger than that place.
Yeah.
And it just you forget, like sometimes you think this massive thing that like it's like, but that is really, really tiny. And so anyways, I just thought that was really strange. Have you ever seen the Alamo before now?
No, I saw it when I was there, and I agree. Sometimes historical places surprise you with their scale. Like sometimes they're a lot bigger than you think, and sometimes they're a little bit smaller than you think. And so, the obviously the Battle of the Alamo, and when was that?
Yeah,
sometime in the early 1800s. I'm not a historian, but obviously. It's like maybe 1/100th the size of the convention center.
Yeah. It was just one of those things where I didn't expect it to be that size. I was actually really like, I'm like, kids, we're going to see the Alamo, and like, and they're like, is that a big deal? I'm like, oh, it's huge. We get there, and I'm like, oh, I guess that's it. Okay, let's go. So it's just a lot smaller. I like read the history and everything there. Like it's really, we forget sometimes how much we progressed civilizations. Like when they talked about like the town was really busy, like 30,000 people. I'm like, I just went to a concert with 90,000 people. Like, I'm like, you start to realize like, wow, this is a different world than we live in. And so anyways, anything else you want to talk about? I wanted to show something I think is so cute. Someone that I care about got this for me. And I know people know I do the Talk About Fertility podcast, which by the way, this week I did it on, something I thought it'd be good for people to know is that, doctors have feelings too. And so I did one on that because I felt like, people should know, like, we're there with you. Like when you fail, we're right there. We're saddened as well. But they got me this to bring, always keep me happy and stuff. And I thought I had to share one. It's the positive taco. It's okay to fall apart sometimes because tacos fall apart and yet we still love them. And Tiny Taco has your back whenever you need a pick-me-up. And so I feel like nothing can tear me down now because just like a taco, if you break apart, you can still pick all the pieces and put in your mouth. It still tastes like a taco. And I know I can get past everything. So I just thought I'd share that with everyone. So
I love it.
Anything else? I mean, you have to, the ad or anything before we end the night?
It was a great conference. I had a ton of fun. There were early mornings and late evenings, and probably we'll be back there next year, and I hope we'll be reporting on more innovations. I mean, we always go to at least a couple conferences a year to kind of pick up on what's new and great in the world of science in our world, and so we try to report back on these things as much as we can, and let all our viewers out there and all the people that come to our clinics kind of make sure that they also know what's new and great. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what's around the corner.
Yeah, and some really cool things too. So one, we talked about potentially our next episode. Really check out. I think we're going to talk a little bit about, extra embryos. Like, what do we do with those? And what are your stories? How have you felt? We'd love to hear people's view. Like, is that something that worried you about having these extra embryos, and then what happens to them? So, one person asked also, is there recording? Yes, there's a recording. You can always go to our YouTube page, Sperm Meets Egg, and go there, or the website. The other thing, I don't even think I've told you about this, Dr. Sam. I actually, I thought a fun thing to do for Christmas time is I actually paid for a donor out of my own pocket to go through, and I'm planning on donating a lot of those eggs to people who want donor eggs, who can't afford it. And so, definitely come check out some of these shows because we will be, talking about how to get those. And I think that's kind of a neat thing. I wanted to help people out. It was a donor that normally we wouldn't use. She's a little bit older, not too old. She's 32, which is obviously still young. But, I thought she's a really good donor. Why don't we do this? This will help some people. And so obviously it's just that donor. It's not like your choice of multiple donors. But, we'll post the stuff. And if people are interested, we'd love for you to come on the show and tell us your story. And we'd love to then, donate those to you. So anyways, anything else you got to say tonight? Leaving this great crowd?
I mean, come on, leaving on a positive taco and free donor eggs for those around Christmas time. I love this. We can't end on a better note than that.
I agree. I was really excited about it when they asked me about it. I was like, no, she's a little too old for us to sell those eggs. Like I said, I like to keep them under 30 and stuff, unless they have something very unique, right? So if it's someone's like an Indian donor or something like that, But I said, I thought about it, I'm like, this would be really cool. We should do this. There's people out there who may never be able to have a kid without that, and I thought it fits what you and I do. Just trying to help people out, and we know we'll get it back some other way. It's not like we're worried about the money. If people come to us, and we really appreciate that. When people do watch our show and go to these things. So anyways, it was great talking to you. I had a blast today, ASRM. And then like I said, check out the next show. I think you guys are going to be quite amazed about the topic, especially if you've ever been through IVF yourself and you had extra embryos. The question is, what do you do with those, and what are your options out there, and how can you prevent from making too many embryos but still be cost effective? So I think it'll be a great episode.
That sounds great. Looking forward to it. I'll see you then.
You have a great night, okay?
You too. Have a great one.
Thanks again, everybody.
Got the knowledge, the power to grow. Sperm meets egg, let the healing flow. fertile grounds we explore. Life's a journey, so much in store. Got the knowledge, the power to grow. Sperm meets egg, let the healing flow. Step in, let's talk about the facts. Women's health, let's watch how it cracks. Cycles turning, it's more than just chance. In this moment, we're taking a stance. Voices rising, we're breaking the mold. Deep conversations, we're watching them fold. From the roots to the stars is one and the same. Empowered together, we're winning this game.